Here.
Vice Mayor Politis,
Here.
Commissioner Economos,
Here.
Commissioner Lipinski,
Here.
Commissioner Card is excused.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today we are going to be discussing exempting Daytona Beach Shores from the requirements. So Attorney Waters, can you please read it for us?
Certainly, Madam Mayor, this is resolution number 2024-24, Live Local, a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, pursuant to section 196-1978, paren 3, paren 0, Florida statute, electing to not exempt property from ad valorem property under section 196-197-8, paren 3, paren D 1A, Florida statute, commonly known as the Live Local Act, property tax exemption, providing for severability and an effective date. And that was the one and only reading, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Attorney Waters. Stuart, Community Service Director here, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, compliments of the season. So as the Mayor mentioned and the City Attorney just read, this is Resolution 2024-24, opting out of certain Live Local Act tax exemption provisions. So for those of you who may recall, the Live Local Act was adopted in 2023 by the Florida Legislature, and the goal of this particular act was to increase housing availability for affordable housing as defined by the state within the state of Florida. And it attempted to do so by preempting certain local zoning and land use regulations, and also granting certain tax exemptions, which we're going to talk about briefly, and also permitting donations to the Florida Housing Finance Corporation in exchange for tax credits. So the reason why we're having this special meeting is because staff is recommending that we adopt this particular resolution to opt out of the tax exemption portion that applies to this resolution, which relied on favorable data coming out of a report that I'll talk about in a minute. And the report was actually just issued 4 days ago, earlier this week. And if the city were to adopt this resolution, it would have to happen before January 1st. So the city would have to adopt the resolution and would also have to be transmitted to the property appraiser by January 1st of every year. So I mentioned earlier that the Live Local Act provides for certain tax exemptions. So within the Live Local Act, as codified in the Florida statutes, there is a provision that the property appraiser shall exempt 75% of the assessed values of units in multifamily projects for persons whose annual household income falls within 80 and 120% of the AMI or area median income within Volusia County, the Volusia County Metropolitan Service Area. Within that same part of the statute or act, there's also a provision to opt out of that tax exemption and basically save the city money if a project were to come in line. If there was a surplus in housing for the 0 to 120% area median income. So basically what that means is that for what's classified as affordable housing in the state of Florida, if there was a surplus within Volusia County relative to the needs, then the city or the taxing authority can opt out by doing what I just mentioned, passing the resolution and then basically transmitting it to the property appraiser. So the Schimberg report came out on December 16th of this month, and this month, which was 4 days ago, and it basically demonstrates that there is over a 1,900 unit surplus in this particular category within Volusia County. So with that being said, staff felt it was prudent to bring this before the City Commission for approval. Just so that you know, Volusia County also had an emergency meeting yesterday, and they passed it unanimously as well. So I know others in Volusia County and the state of Florida are also doing so, and as I mentioned, staff is recommending approval. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take a stab, and of course, the city attorney, the city manager would be able to chime in as well.
I have one question right now. I don't see anyone wanting to speak, but my question is this something that we'll have to do annually every year?
That's a very good point, assuming nothing changes. So who knows what will happen in the next legislative session if we're going to get preempted from doing this. But at the moment, the way the statute reads is that we would have to do this by January 1st of every year. So we'd have to come before the commission after the report has provided whether there's a surplus or deficit. If there's a deficit, we wouldn't have the opportunity to opt out.
And are we assuming it'd be about the same time next year, or we really don't know that?
It's kind of funny. There were some things that were said off the record, but yes, we're assuming that Schimberg will be able to get the report out around this time, or hopefully sooner next year, so that we can have an idea as to whether or not we need to have a special meeting or do it during a regular meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
do not see any other speakers here. My only other question, you might not know the end of this. Do you happen to know in Volusia County how many of the new municipalities are opting out?
I don't know, have the exact number. I just know that Volusia County has done it, and there were maybe at least 5+ that were considering it.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, do I, with that being said, still no speakers, so do I hear a motion to accept Resolution 2024?
I so move.
Thank you, a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? The only thing that I want to add to this is, there is a city manager in DePerry. His name is Carmen Rosamunda, and he has worked tirelessly spearheading this. He was the first one that brought it to our attention. City manager, I want to say about a year ago,
Yep.
or even more.
Within a month of the end of last legislative session, yes.
So, he just realized the effect that it would have on cities, and he was a big advocate going to Tallahassee on this. But what I appreciate is that he had meetings with all of the mayors as well as all the city managers to explicitly explain what this was about and how it would impact our city. So first of all, I would like to thank City Manager. I will make sure that I reach out to him. And then the second thing too, our Volusia League of Cities was very much an advocate in this Schimberg report to all municipalities in opting out of this. So I know of several cities in Volusia County. I was just wondering if our community service director knew how many exactly. I'm sure I'll get the number on that, but I know there was quite a few. So with that being said, we have a first motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Not, Sherry, can you take a roll on this, please?
Oh,
It's up on the screen. Okay, and this passed 4-0, so thank you very much for that. And this was the only agenda item that we had for today. So with everything being said and no other